The winter front of World War II was not just a battlefield, it was a frozen gauntlet stretching for miles. Steel helmets turned brittle, rifle bolts froze solid, bread hardened into stone, and breath crystallized in the air before it could even warm the lungs. Nights were endured not because of gunfire, but because the cold clawed through every layer of wool and canvas. Fuel was scarce, wood was wet, and the wind carried away heat faster than it could be made. With no roaring fireplaces or steady coal supply, soldiers relied on scraps, discipline, and pure ingenuity. Inside half-collapsed barns, in trenches lined with ice, and under tarps stiff as boards, they learned to capture every trace of warmth. Insulating with unlikely materials, building heat sources from field equipment, and turning the smallest ember into hours of comfort. These weren't ideas found in manuals. They were survival methods, born from desperation and refined by men with no room for mistakes. And many of these same tricks still work in modern homes today, requiring no electricity or special tools, only the knowledge that once kept men alive in the coldest nights of the war. In rural Europe, communal bread ovens became lifelines. Built from thick stone or brick, these ovens retained heat for days after baking. Soldiers learned to place flat stones or bricks inside the hot oven after the bread was removed. Once heated, they wrapped the stones in rags, straw or wool and carried them to their shelters. Placed under bedding or near walls, these improvised heat batteries radiated warmth all night long without burning extra fuel or revealing their position. Today, this principle lives on in thermal mass heating systems. You know, a simple tobacco tin could become a miniature heater. Soldiers would fill it halfway with sand, insert a cloth wick, and then drip in kerosene, lamp oil, or even grease. The slow drip fuel system made a low, steady flame that gave off heat with almost no smoke or light. Just perfect for keeping hands warm or thawing rations in stealth. It really was the wartime ancestor of today's alcohol stoves, born from nothing but necessity and resourcefulness. Empty ammunition boxes, tough, sealed, and, well, pretty plentiful, became portable radiators. Soldiers filled them with stones or scrap metal, heated them beside campfires, then sealed and wrapped them to retain the heat. Back in their dugouts, these boxes would release slow, steady warmth for hours, all without needing fuel or flame. This simple reuse of battlefield equipment really proved that warmth could come from strategy, not just fire. Heat loss was a constant enemy. To fight it, soldiers boiled strips of cloth in linseed oil, wax or animal fat, turning them water-resistant and flexible. They'd press these oil-soaked fabrics into cracks around doors and windows, or stitch them into draft stoppers to block wind and seal in warmth. Not only did this reduce heat loss dramatically, it also deterred pests and, you know, could be reused for years. A timeless lesson here. Sometimes the best way to stay warm is not to make heat, but to keep it. When supplies ran low, even food scraps became fuel. Soldiers collected rendered meat fat to make candles, melting the fat into tins and adding cloth wicks. These so-called tallow candles produced light and, surprisingly, quite a bit of heat, enough to warm hands, dry socks, or gently heat food. They were silent, smokeless, and could double as emergency rations. Proof that survival depends on seeing value where others see waste. In farm country, hay barrels offered unexpected refuge. Soldiers hollowed out space inside tightly packed barrels of dry hay, crawling in to sleep surrounded by natural insulation. The hay trapped body heat, keeping temperatures inside far above the freezing air outside. Silent, scentless, and requiring no fuel, this was the perfect improvised sleeping chamber for stealth and survival. Modern science later confirmed what they learned firsthand. Hay and straw are exceptional natural insulators because they trap air between their fibers. Every soldier carried a shovel, but few realized it could become a radiator. By placing the shovel blade near coals or a stove, but not directly in the flame, it absorbed heat that could later be carried under blankets or used to thaw frozen equipment. Wrapped in cloth, it radiated warmth for minutes, long enough to restore feeling to hands or feet. The heated shovel proved that even the most ordinary tool could become a lifeline when viewed with creativity and need. On those frozen fronts, survival wasn't about comfort. It was about endurance. With no modern heating or endless fuel, soldiers turned what they had into what they needed: warmth, security, and one more night of life. Today, in our climate-controlled homes, we've forgotten much of that hard-won knowledge. But if the power ever fails, or the world grows cold again, these same tricks, born from the hardest winters in history, could once again mean the difference between cold and comfort. Learn it, practice it, preserve it. Because warmth isn't just about fire. It's about knowing how to keep it alive.